Super Bowl week. Oliver Luck starting up the XFL at this time in 9.5 days. Of course, played in the league and did a ton with the NCAA as well. But now, sitting in the Big C with the XFL. What are we going to see here in a little over a week here? Are you excited? Are you nervous? You look apprehensive, I almost feel like.
No, I'm not sure I'm nervous. I'm absolutely excited because there's been a lot of work, almost 2 years' worth of work put into the XFL and building the league to be a league with fast pace, high scoring, fun offenses to watch. As we hired head coaches, we looked for offensive creativity. Kevin Gilbride and Mark Trestman and Bob Stoops, who, of course, is a defensive guy, really, but if you think about it, he's had unbelievable sort of offenses at Oklahoma. Hal Mumme, the architect of the air raid offense, is Bob's offensive coordinator. Wow. June Jones, so all these guys who really know how to be creative offensively and do some fun things. So, we spent a lot of time putting that together, and there's always a little bit of anxiety as you launch, but I think we're ready to roll. We're going to have some fun. We got some, just some great coaches. We got very good players. I've been super impressed with the quality of the player in our league, and I think that's due to the fact that football has gotten so much better, right? I think about players even in my era, all pros and Hall of Famers, with nutritionists and strength coaches and sleep coaches and 12-month-a-year training and analytics, right? There's just such a high level of play in the NFL. The guys that we have are that much better as well. The whole game's been elevated, and I think that gives us a real neat opportunity.
Why do you think it can be successful this time around?
I think there are three things. One is Vince McMahon. He's our founder, our visionary, and we're lucky to have him, right? And he's given us resources and the time to really plan this thing out. The second thing is the power of our broadcast partners. We've got Fox and Disney with ABC and ESPN. All 43 of our games will be broadcast nationally, either over the air or fully distributed cable. Yeah. So I'm not sure there's ever been a sports league that started with that kind of visibility. And the third reason, I think, is what I had just mentioned. I really think that the game has elevated itself incredibly well over the last 15, 20 years. And as a result, I'm looking at players in our league and I'm asking myself, my gosh, these guys are awesome. They should be playing in the National Football League, and many of them have. I was down in Houston with our training camp over the last 3 weeks. A guy like Sammy Coates, wide receiver, went to Auburn, right. Third round, if I'm correct, third-round draft choice of the Steelers back, a few years back.
16, okay.
And this guy looks, great. He's fast, he's big, he's catching everything, and you ask yourself, wow, for him to be in our league, that's awesome. That's going to be a guy that, I'm looking forward to watch. So I think the elevation of the game overall, has really helped us be able to get a good crop of high-quality players.
So I love the shorter game concept. Like, give me a nice football game in 2 hours, 2:15, 2.5. I think that's great. I'm curious, as far as trying to keep the personality of the player sort of in check. Like, I feel like there's a lot of fans who love that, and there's some that don't. How are you guys how are you looking at that part of it?
I think you have to be authentic, right? I think there's a lot of guys who are great characters, that people want to get to know. There are others who are much more subdued, like my kid was when he was playing in the NFL. Yeah. So, I think you have to be authentic. You have to give everybody a chance to show sort of his playful side, if you will. But you also don't want to slow the game down because of that. So I think the best thing we did was this 25-second play clock. Okay. So that's going to affect every play. It's probably the most consequential rules innovation. We've got a ball spotting official who does nothing but spot the ball so that we can play fast. Our offensive play caller is not just talking to the quarterback with the little receiver in his ear. He's talking to all the skilled players.
Interesting.
Right? So I always wondered, why just talk to the quarterback? The quarterback then has to tell the other 10 guys what the play is. Why not inform more players so you can play faster? So you won't see many huddles. If you do, it's probably going to be more of a sugar huddle. In many cases, you won't see a huddle at all. Right? Guys like Hal Mumme are going to, I think, go to a 7 or 8 second pace. So that's the fun stuff that I'm really looking forward to. But we're trying to use technology to help make sure we have all the things we need to play that up-tempo, fast-paced game and still showcase sort of the playfulness of our players. We want guys to celebrate in the end zone, but not for 65 seconds or so, right? A couple 20 seconds and get it done and go to the next play.
A little old school right there.
That's right.
That's super interesting with everybody getting the play right away. You mentioned your son. I'm curious, how much were you involved in the conversation when Andrew's deciding whether or not to not play anymore, or perhaps just try to grind it out?
Well, our family is close. We got 4 kids, my wife and I, and all of the family members who were involved. Of course, his wife obviously as well in the decision. But he's always made good decisions. It's his call. My only advice to him, and I would say this to any player, who's kind of going through that sort of bad cycle of injury and rehab and injury and rehab. If you don't have 100% enthusiasm and love of the game, then don't play.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is. If you don't have that enthusiasm, don't play. Because the game, you need to have 100% commitment to really go out and play well. As you know, Mark, it's a tough game.
I can't say. I mean, I play my tennis, Oliver, and I get at my hoops, and I play my recreational softball. But I've never been clocked by a 300-pound guy coming at. So honestly, it's insane.
Be thankful.
Yeah, well, you had a lot of fun doing it, though, did you not?
Oh, I love it. Absolutely. Anybody who plays the game, even when you get banged up and beat up, you still love it because there's a camaraderie that I think is unmatched in almost any other sport.
And was it hard for you? Like, oh my God, my son just got cracked, and now he's on the ground. It can't be easy for a parent.
No,
even when we play the game.
Well, and the funny thing is, I think for almost any parent watching a kid play any sport, your son or daughter. Exactly how they move. So I remember, in the Tennessee Titans game down in Nashville when Brian Orakpo, sacked Andrew from behind and sort of pinned him, and then didn't mean to do this, I don't think, but so just the way it happened, kind of intentionally pinned him and drove him into the turf. And that's when he damaged his labrum. So you see those things, and immediately what happened, right?
Yeah.
Just because how your son or daughter operates and moves. So yeah, I think anybody watching their kid play football, it's a challenge. It's tough, but you realize it's a challenging game as long as they're having fun and enjoying it, and that's fine. But the moment they're hurt, you get nervous.
Andrew getting booed off the field, did that bother you? It bothered me.
Oh, I think that was keep in mind the context of that, right? It was preseason game, 3 or 4, I can't remember which. Very end of the game, there may be a couple thousand fans left in Lucas Oil. They've probably been drinking all afternoon or evening. The news just broke on Twitter or whatever account, whatever social media account broke it. So I by and large, I think the fans in Indianapolis have been tremendous.
Yeah.
They're great people. My wife and I still have a house there. We love going back there. So no criticism at all for those couple hundred fans that may have booed him.
Right. These things happen. I guess it's all part of it. All right. Let's see here. We touched on everything in the XFL. Is there anything we missed that you want to get out here, Oliver, before you get on going?
So I just want to give folks an example of things they might see where I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. So, our punt is a little bit different.
Okay.
So in the NFL, right, the gunners, the guys on the outside, the wide receivers, if you will, they leave at the snap when the ball is snapped. We're holding our gunners until the ball is kicked. It's only about 2 seconds. But that gives the punt returner a chance to field the punt and actually make a move, right?
Yeah.
And we hope that'll get rid of that brutal hit that we all sort of cringe at when a guy catches it and just gets lit up. Yeah. And we tested this with multiple, leagues, including our own guys right in training camp. And we think we'll see a bunch of punt returns. And we think we're kind of getting out of the game a play that deserves to be out. That brutal, defenseless, I'm catching the punt and I'm going to get lit up, the next second I move. So those are the kind of the thought processes we had. And I think fans will enjoy, once they sort of begin to understand that, they'll enjoy watching the games.
Super cool. I love it. All right, it's coming up, the XFL 2020. Oliver, great to see you.
Thank you, Mark.